No one's on it. Here we are. Right, hello, I'm Sam. Welcome to people out there. This is the first Makers Academy Agile Ventures Charity Jamboree. Welcome. And I'll pop that on screen share. Pop that on there, and then go back to our keynote there and get play on that. Right. And then just so, I guess, probably a couple of minutes introduction from me. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sam Bezif. I'm the head of education and engineering here at Makers Academy, which is learn to code in 12 weeks. Come in with minimal coding experience. We will put you through the ringer. I know we'll give you a wonderful whittle, you put through the ringer, but also have a wonderful education in a very, very intense 9-to-6 fashion, Monday to Friday, and then help you get a job as a junior developer or starting your own company afterwards. It's an intense process, but we love it, right? Yes, Makers students? Yeah. Whoa. So this Makers Academy business now based in this nice new building, which we are starting to love. Then there's Agile Ventures, which is a, as not yet actually registered, but charity that I co-founded, which is kind of, what's the best way to describe it? It is like, what is it, crowdfunder? What's that, Kickstarter? Right? Everyone knows Kickstarter, these crowdfunding things, everybody puts in a bit of money, donates to a project or a charity. Agile Ventures is like that, except instead of donating money, you donate programming time. So people from around the world donate programming time to help charitable causes build real solutions. And this is kind of like a win-win-win. Great causes get software that they need built for them. Developers who want to give back get to do that. Developers who want to polish their skills working in a team get to do that. And also, this is the critical thing, with the Agile there, the Agile development method, where you regularly interact with the customer, the non-technical customer, and get feedback on what you're building. That is, I think it's the sweet spot of being able to build software IT that's actually useful, that gets the job done, rather than like, here's this thing, 6 months later, we spent a bit of time, which is, all too often the unfortunate case. So, Makers Academy 12-week course, the last 2 weeks of Makers Academy, after all sorts of trials, tribulations, and different bits of code and strange things and things, are, stay with me, the last 2 weeks are team projects for the students using the technology of their choice, and they're put into practice all the skills that you've learned in the first 10 weeks. And so we regularly have what we call a jamboree, which I always think it's a bit of a tambourine for me, but it's a singing thing at church. No, but anyway, but the jamboree, which with the sort of the official jamboree, which we'll be having at 2:30 today, which charity friends do feel free to stay around for. That's sort of a series of very lightning pitches, elevator pitches, 60 seconds, where anybody in the company, any student can get up and say, "Oh, we should build up," or "We should build up," and we write them all down. And we kind of pick through a process of voting on the best ones, and then those are the, it's complicated, but we end up working out the kind of, to try and optimize people's choices of projects, team partners, and so on. And one thing I'm particularly keen on is introducing the possibility that these final projects should have external customers. We've had 1 or 2 of those in the past on a kind of ad hoc basis, but the idea with the Charity Jamboree, which we're all here for today, is that wonderful, I can't say local, I sort of feel, because everybody's sort of from London-ish, is that, I'm not excluding anybody by saying, the local charities have come in, thank you so much, and are going to tell us about, in a kind of quick fire-ish sort of way, about their charity, and about the challenges that they're facing, and their thoughts about how they might be able to, use a technical solution. And the format for doing that is we're going to try and keep it to 5 minutes per charity/non-profit organisation, and we'll have maybe 1 or 2 questions, and we'll do, I think we've got maybe 4 or 5 different people. We'll try and do that, we'll try and get that all out of the way in half an hour, and then I'm hoping to switch into kind of snooze mode, if that's the appropriate term in this company, where rather than all of us sort of talking in one space, we kind of go into a little, people can get into huddles and chat and whatever. Next time I promise I'll do canapes. Actually, if you do want penguins, I do have chocolate penguins. So, if you need incentive to stay around afterwards, I'll give out chocolate. Yeah, anyway. So yes, and this is being recorded. There's the Makers Academy student projects. There's also Agile Ventures. There are people around the world kind of on standby, wanting to polish their skills, working on technical projects. I've remote pair programmed with over 500 people around the world. We've built large systems for different charities in Syria, in the UK, in Sweden, And it's been an amazing learning experience. It's been absolutely wonderful. And so, there's no particular pressure on Maker students to necessarily work with charities. I think at the end of the day, the Maker students will work on what makes sense for them at their stage of development. But so there's kind of like this is a double whammy that I'm excited about, is that we make this video today, which includes all the pictures I've got everybody's speaker decks on here, and then what we've done, that's the chat today, and it goes out to the world. And so there's like I'm looking for, the ongoing conversation. This is a particular charity. I was working with a charity in Harrow and London for the last 2 years. Often the concern is we're going to get something that's built, and then there's, we're not sure how to use it, and the ongoing support. And I'm looking long term to match people who need things built with people who want to learn how to build them. Simple.
I was just going to ask you about Tom. It's really hard to, when you make that.
Yeah, I know, and I should have plugged it in. Yeah. Is it plugged in? I mean, I don't know if that will help or not. As you've noticed, it's sort of, it's the first time that we're doing this, and I think part of the problem with the recording is that it's streaming it live as well. I think the microphones help. It's a wonderfully efficient way to record it. We'll see. Next time around, I might actually just record it directly onto the laptop, which I think leads to a better sound quality. That's something we're still struggling with at Makers. Okay, enough about me. As if it could be. I have got, I think, little one-slide things, which my apologies in advance if I have the wrong names and the slides. But if in turn you come up and set me straight and tell us what it's all about, that's great. I'll serve as timekeeper, and I'll kind of give you a warning, at 2 minutes and into question mode. Let us. Oh no, that's the wrong thing. Wrong button. We should go now to the Occupy London stores. Yes. 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 So Max has got us over here a PDF, which I'm not sure how to full screen.
Oh, yeah.
I'll leave you to.
Okay. I thought I was going to talk fast, but
you can play me back on off speed.
Yeah, it's going to sound like a draw in comparison. Right, okay, are you ready to time?
I am.
Go. Can everyone see that? Okay, so there's a couple of, oh God, stop. What are you doing? What are you doing? Right, start again.
Oh, sorry, okay, go.
Okay, there's a couple of great people to talk about this story. First one, Liam, he set up Occupy London Tours in autumn 2011. And it is just this, a free tour company run by volunteers, volunteers myself, who want to open and seek the world and find out certain politics for all to see. How do we do that? Well, we run 3 free monthly tours, one in the old city of London, one in Mayfair, and one in Canary Wharf. And what each tour does is basically take the kind of geographical specifics of the finance industry in that place, and it basically looks behind the shiny windows and the brass numbered front door plates and actually works out what's going on and tells people what's going on. We demystify basically a little bit of vilification, mainly demystification, and we hope to let people know what's going on in the world so they can do something about it. Right, this is Howard. He's the second great guy in the story because he came on one of my tours at Canary Wharf a year ago. He loved it and he got in touch afterwards and said, hey, I design web platforms for people. I think if you had a really comprehensive web platform, you could do better things. Do you want to do it? He said, all right. So we did our homework. The highlights, 2,000 people booked in 2014 alone. They loved it. Howard did a survey, worked out that over half of people that come to us online. Everyone books online, but that's how they found us. And if a digital tour platform existed, there's lots of things people want to do with it. Come back to revisit, delve deeper, take a different one, recommend to a friend. So we know that people want it. This is what we've got at the minute. Basic WordPress site, yada yada, a bit cluttered, kind of does the job, but not very well. And specifically doesn't have the ability to integrate new media, and I'll get into that in a little bit. So this is what we've designed with Howard. New thing, looks better, does everything better. So that's all the stuff that we do already, but it's going to make it quicker, cleaner, and faster. And it's going to be designed specifically to integrate new media, audio tours, and combining that with visual content as well, virtual tools that people can take online. And that's the exciting bit. So we're going to go for a little tour around the website. Okay, this is where you put your place, easy to pick, simple. I'm going to pick Canary Wharf. Okay, now I can see information, article photos, media tour guide, see the map. I can book, obviously. If I'm not sure, I can look at reviews. These just get sucked in from TripAdvisor, so they're independent. Or I can leave a review as well. And if I can't make it because I don't live in London, or I want to go on a tour that I've already been on, but I don't want to go again, or I want to give it to a friend, or whatever, this is the exciting bit. This is where people can actually do it online. Either they can download it in an audio file. We've actually got people working on this at the minute, professionals, they don't want to spare time. Or I'm going to be able to actually take it online once that's all combined with some really interesting visual content as well. And this is in the works, this isn't just fancy. And the really important bit as well, resources page. So people come back, they want to learn more, and they want to do more. This is really the bit that we want to get right as well, like shuffling people into actually taking political action. And so developing a much better place for all this to sit is key. Where do you come in, please? So hopefully phase 1, at very least, redesign what we've currently got along the lines of the design that we've shown you. Phase 2, integrate that virtual content, which is going to throw it open to the world, as opposed to just people in London. Who knows, maybe in the future we'll design an app and get GPS involved as well. So, what you're going to enable if you help us out, engage with people, beyond the suspects, in more places, not just London, but across the world. London is the world's financial capital, so that's important. For longer, coming back, delving deeper, and basically better engagement, actually taking action as a result. So this is the fairy tale. Look, we just, some people started doing some tools, we didn't have to build a website. Howard arrives in his shiny raincoat, promises us a design, but without some daring developers, all be lost. And I'll leave you with that.
Oh, thank you, Matt. Is it time for like 1 or 2 questions? We've got like 9 seconds. Any questions for Matt on that?
That's a joke, by the way.
The guy that designed your, are you set with the vision of it? So would it be more kind of us coming in to, put that vision, make that vision reality?
So this, the things on the slides are the result of like maybe a couple of iterations of us just basically chatting with him, going through what we wanted. But it's very much a proposal to get you guys involved, not just be like, this is what we want, build it for us. So like us and Howard and you hopefully working together to improve it, build it. Yeah.
What's the do then about? Like said,
so we effectively we're kind of grassroots education outfit. So we take people on tours, we teach them stuff about what we're talking about. We're not a campaign group, we sort of are semi, but what we really want to do is be a gateway for people to learn about these issues, why they're important, why they should do something about it, and then be able to direct them into groups, whatever actions, areas in which they can actually do that. And that, getting that right is not that easy. So it's something
and how does a designer and not like a programmer?
How would you say designer? Howard. I think it said how would.
No. I meant the person with
so that's not a sentence.
The person, they know that's often the case with me. The guy with his tongue out.
Yeah.
He's a designer rather than a developer.
Howard is a designer. He did the UX design course, and so he wanted to get involved.
So this project would include a designer on board, you got a designer, and you need programmers.
That's it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Matt.
No worries.
Right. So next up, we have, I think it's a Lookup, a mobile app for community solar, and you have a PowerPoint which looks possibly like this.
That's it.
Yes. And I will put that onto slideshow and reset the clock. Oh, and then say, go.
Okay, so my name's Millie and I work for a charity called 1010, and we're developing a mobile app to help communities assess the solar capacity of roofs in their area. So, brief history of 1010. 1010 was launched in 2009. It encourages people to cut their carbon emissions and do positive actions around climate change. So, as lots of you know, that's the amount of fossil fuels we know about, and the little blue circle is the amount we can safely burn while staying under 2 degrees of climate change. So we've got a big task ahead of us, and largely we need to empower people to feel like they can do something and get involved. So one of the main projects that 1010 is currently working on is called Back Borkum, and you might have all heard of the village of Borkum because it became the poster child for the anti-fracking movement last year, when a company called Driller moved into Borkum and started doing exploratory drilling. And the community stood up and said they didn't want drilling to happen, and there was protests, there was lots of media. And now with the help of 1010, the Borkum community, it has set up an energy co-op and is planning to repower their village entirely with solar power. And next week we've got a big installation at a local farm, so you won't hear about that in the media, I'm sure. So, since Borkum launched this solar project. It's inspired other communities to also launch solar projects. So this picture shows a mock-up that the One Show did of the East Enders Albert Square being repowered with solar and wind. And we've also received coverage from The Guardian, Daily Mail, all sorts of things like that. And yeah, so there's a lot of fracking planned for the UK. The red areas show areas where fracking is already happening, and the yellow show proposed sites where there's exploration and where the government wants to see fracking start to happen. And lots of these communities have already been in touch with us about also starting solar projects. So what's the community energy project need? It needs support in assessing the capacity of local buildings to do solar projects, and that's where Lookup comes in. So we've done a spec for an app called Lookup. This shows a quick picture of it. Basically, Lookup is a mobile app that allows users to assess the solar capacity of local roofs. So we've done a detailed spec that we'd share with the developer. It has intro, taking a photo, doing geoparent and compass orientation, putting in the material of the roof, shading, cut or slope, measuring it, and then a capacity estimate. So we're looking for a web developer to work with us, develop this. And yeah, that's the end of it. And this is just a short email we were sent for the backwalking campaign every week that I think we'll see. That's it.
Wonderful.
I've got a friend who's pretty much built exactly that.
Okay.
You might want to get in touch with him.
Use that.
Yeah, we've seen there's a few similar apps on the market, but they're not that user-friendly. They're quite techy and require someone to have quite a lot of expertise about solar.
Yeah.
We really want this to be a really entry-level, like someone who's just interested in knowing about solar in their area, like really simple and you can send out on.
Yeah, it's got geolocation and compass orientation and roof size and stuff. It's called Solar Hunter.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll check it out.
Cool.
Any other questions? So you mentioned that you're looking for specifically for a web developer, and when you say that, you want an application to run on the phone, so it's not just a website.
No.
It's you need someone who's going to
on the phone.
program. Yeah. Great.
So I guess you've got an algorithm basically sorted out already, which takes all those parameters in.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much, Millie. Wonderful. Okay. Let's see who we have next. Next up, we have Global Divestment Day, making fossil fuel history. And do we have another PowerPoint with your on? I think we do. This is the one.
And I would like to apologise for the immense shitness of this PowerPoint presentation. As context, this launches in 2 hours, so I'm a bit like, So I wrote this at the same time as writing the email to go out to 40,000 people. So
at the risk of not
let's go.
any
Global
further,
Divestment Day. So I work on fossil fuel divestment, and I work with lots of kind of community campaigners all over the country who are trying to convince institutions that it is not right if they want to do something about climate change and we need to keep fossil fuels in the ground, but their investments are still invested in fossil fuels. So the global fossil fuel movement is sprung up a few years ago. It's now the fastest growing investment movement that's ever happened. And it's really exciting. Global Divestment Day is February the 13th and 14th. It's the first kind of global divestment moment that's ever happened. And there's going to be kind of thousands of actions all over the world. So that's kind of the bit of context, and that's kind of the current project we're working on. In the UK, we're really encouraging, so there's loads and loads and loads of amazing student activity already around universities, you know, where are their endowments. And we're trying to branch out to more kind of citizens and look at, okay, so your local government, this is public money. Why is public money funding something that is kind of destroying our future? It's not in the public interest. So why is that happening? So that's going to be a big push kind of across the UK, getting kind of citizens to start talking to their councils and being like, hang on here. So what we've done is we've got freedom of information for all of the councils in the UK and found out exactly how much they've got invested in fossil fuels, which companies, etc., etc. which is, this is where it gets really bad, lots of data. So we've got all of the data for all of the pension authorities. And the first idea of this is so that we produce an aggregate figure, and that's a big press story, and we'll put that out in the run-up to Global Divestment Day as a kind of as a news story saying, you know, isn't this outrageous, etc., etc. The second reason,
1 minute.
1 minute. Second reason is because we want to use this data to offer to local campaigners as a tool for them to say, find out about your local council and what the situation is near you, and that's where you guys come in. So the task is, we've got all this data, we haven't started processing it because we want to work with a developer about the best way to present. It's a huge amount of information across the whole of England. So how we present the data in a shit, hot, searchable and beautiful way so that campaigners can say, I live in Warwick, what has my council got invested, what companies is it in, and then use that information to start a wonderful and powerful campaign in their area. It's much more simple than the other projects. Why is it exciting? I think because it's about bringing kind of public data forward, and it's really there to kind of drive direct action for local campaigners who are looking for more information about what their public money is doing and how they can take real action to stop climate change.
Fantastic. You guys have really taken the 3 minute thing for that to talk. We'll have to be like dragging people off the stage and things. Is it questions? Any quick questions?
Big spreadsheets. So they've come back as FOIs, and they're kind of slightly in different formats. So we've got someone who's going to do the kind of data crunching and kind of get it all in the right format, but we were reluctant to do that before we chatted to a designer and see like what way would be best to organise the data and what's most useful in terms of, you know, if I want to present it like this, can you make the data do like this? So there's kind of a bit of scope there.
What's the end result for sending this data? So you can all get to sort of visualise it for a press story.
Yeah, so the kind of web, it will be hosted on our website, and it will be kind of promoted to local campaigners to look up, you know, after the press story, to look up their local campaign. I guess timing-wise it's kind of interesting. The data, the full data should be ready by the end of next week. And then, obviously, if we can do something with the press story ahead of 14th of February, then that's brilliant. Obviously, we have to accept that that might be an unreasonable time frame.
All the councils publish their detail.
There's a real mix. So we've had to FOI quite a lot of it, and some of them are like, yeah, oh, freedom of information. It's like government legislation that public bodies have to disclose certain information. So we've had to ask all of them to be like, who are you investing in? And some of them are like, we won't tell you. And it's like, well, you have to.
Have you seen something that does something similar? Have you not using this sort of data, different sort of data, have you seen a web application that you think, yeah, I want something like, I want it to be a bit like that?
I actually haven't, and so it's kind of very open to interpretation. Like, you know, I can only imagine data in spreadsheets, but it'd be good to talk to people that were better at imagining data that wasn't in spreadsheets.
Okay. Great. I'll wrap up there. Thank you so much. Okay, right. Moving on. I'm really excited. No, calm down, son. Right. Yes. We have now student stop aids. Let's have a round of applause. We have a round of applause at the beginning. We end.
Describe it enough and visualize it. So I'm Saoirse, and I coordinate the Student Stop AIDS campaign. So we're a network of young people in the UK who use campaigning and advocacy to improve international small-scale HIV and AIDS. So we mainly work with decision makers and MPs to get them to support policies that allow people in medium and low income countries to access affordable medicine. Because we now know it's possible to end AIDS by 2030, but only if we get people onto treatment. And treatment in some countries at the moment costs like $25,000 per person a year, so that is impossible at the moment. But one of our big problems is that our young campaigners find it really hard to engage with their MPs. They don't know what their views are, they don't know who they are, they feel alienated from them, they feel they're bored, basically. But with the general election coming up, there's now this incentive for MPs or prospective parliamentary candidates to listen to students because they could potentially be voting for them. So we want to create an app that helps students get to know their MPs and helps MPs or PPCs get to know their students. So we came up with the idea of having a would you rather game. And the way it would work would be very simple. So there'd be an app that would punch in your postcode and a map shows where all the local PPCs in your area are. And then there's another tab which would have a list of would you rather questions. So some of them would be pretty politically polemic, like would you rather invest in the international HIV response, or would you rather invest in the UK's trade project, or something like that. And there could be some funny ones as well. So the students pick which ones they want, and then they tweet them to their MP. And then the MP answers them in turn, and then it gets published on social media, so on Twitter. So it would say, Diane Abbott would rather not support TTIP because it would restrict access to generic medicines or something like that. So the idea would be that the students then know what their MPs think, they know who to vote for, and it would really help us in the campaign after the general election in terms of our advocacy and our strategy and knowing who to approach and how to approach them.
1 minute.
So that's it. I'm done.
Oh, wow. You've created extra time for questions. It's very, any questions?
If you say you're looking for an app, you mean specifically a mobile app or a web version as well?
Yeah, I guess both. I don't know anything about this. So yeah, that would be amazing. But I know there's sites out there that do a similar thing, like they show, what your MP is voted on or what your MP is voted on. But yeah, it would be great if it could be online.
What kind of thing pays at the moment for charity? Online?
You have a website.
And just that, just like basic information about
Yeah, it's just like, background information, events and things that it shows up where the rest of the companies are. I think that there's training resources. Yes, that's it.
Cool. I had a question. I didn't know what PPC stands for.
So your prospective parliamentary candidates are the people that are running for the election.
Oh, so not just people who are the actual MPs, but the ones who are going for office. Right.
Yeah.
So it's more about getting students more involved in politics.
Yeah.
And perhaps less so. Is it more about just getting students more involved in politics than maybe students connect with your specific charity?
So at the moment, all our campaigners are students, so we have 20 different groups in the UK. So I suppose we will go to them first. They're our active campaigners, so they're already on board with our campaign asks and our mission. So it's more just helping them to build relationships, and like you said, with their MPs or PPCs, and to get them more involved in politics and to vote as well.
Any other questions? If not, round of applause. Great stuff. Right, yes. So, and I think actually, so now, Will is on behalf of a couple of international campaigns. Will, who works with us here at Makers Academy, is going to tell us about these two. You can do it in 3 minutes. Do you need 2 sets of 3 minutes? What do you reckon?
I don't actually think I'm going to need much longer than 3 minutes overall. But,
okay, yeah, well, yeah.
So, brief introduction. OpenIDEO is run by IDEO, which you should all know about if you don't go and look them up. Amazing design agency taking over the world. OpenIDEO is a platform that they run, which is all about social impact, social change. They users submit challenges, or they present challenges. I can't remember quite how it works. And then the users across the world submit solutions to those social challenges which can get uploaded, and there's lots of feedback and lots of research. And so I'm going to present to you now 2 projects that have won the various problems that they were presented towards, and they're basically looking for apps to be built so that you're actually solving that problem. So the first one is One Day Experience, and I apologize for not being able to fill 3 minutes of detail because it's not my project, but the general idea is that it's a matchmaking platform to connect young people who are unsure about what they want to do in their career with professionals who work in industries that match that young person's interest, so that they can then spend a day together getting an idea of what it's like to go and work in that industry. I will afterwards send around the URL, which is the OpenIDO challenge page, which goes into detail. And the reason why I mention that is because there's lots and lots of information about the research that they've done, the experiments that they've done, the kind of various different kind of lean approaches that they've taken to this problem. And the idea is that, as with all of these other projects, if you pick this project and you work on it, you will then have kind of acting as client the person whose idea this is. And in the case of the One Day Experience, that's an individual. In the case of the next project, that's actually 2 people. One of them is a senior developer. Any questions? I can't actually answer any questions on that, so never mind. So the next project is the Social Network. There's a lot of stuff on the page, giving credit to the guy that came up with the name. I'm not entirely sure if he's celebrating it. It's really straightforward. It's going to search your social media updates for keywords and maybe a bit of natural language processing in order to recommend jobs to you. I quite like it, and the senior developer is working on it already has kind of got the natural language processing thing down, thinking using the Wolfram Alpha Engine API, which I'm a massive fan of. You can tell, obviously, I'm much more interested in this project than the other one. And what was the other thing on that to do with it? Oh yeah, both of them, by the way, have already got wireframes and screenshots all set up and everything. So there's a lot of, on the previous one, there's a lot of work to be done. On this one, a little less, but both of them still quite interesting in terms of the way that they've both got user personas set up, user stories. So there's a lot of that kind of UX work that's already been done. So interesting in that sense. I think that's it from that. And as I say, I'll send out I'll hip chat the URL so you can have a look at the stuff. I'll try and answer questions.
Well, let's clap. Will. Jump in with the first question, which is that so these two things, like there are already developers working on them, and I mean I do have the websites up.
Oh, you got them? Yeah.
If we hold on, go one thing. No, all that sort of thing. Oh no, go up thing. Go. What is it? That one and that one. No, what is it? Come on. How do I get to my other window? Window here. That's the wrong thing. Sorry. Live event. Probably this one. Yes, these open IDO. I mean, so students coming to work on this, would they get to, who would they actually be interacting with? Would there be some, because we've had 4 fantastic cheerleaders about their projects, and that enthusiasm.
So
is
for the Social Network, this is who you'll be interacting with. And she is in Kansas at the moment, but she's moving to California because she's doing user research with Stanford Uni students. And sorry, this is the one that has, so she's engaged with a guy who is an experienced developer who's done the NLP stuff.
For additional developers to join the team.
Yeah, and so they essentially want to build a proof of concept prototype to do the more testing with. And then, is this so there is a slightly better version of this page. Just this one. No, okay, never mind. Again, that's just you will 76 ideas that were submitted as a solution with the come through, and this is the winner. So you will be helping to deliver that. Other questions?
Yeah. How do you? I mean, you found it. Do you actually know people doing this?
No, so I've known about OpenIDO for a while, and when Tenseki suggested the Charity Jamboree thing. I thought it'd be great to speak to them. I spoke to them, and unfortunately, the reason why this is a bit rushed, what I wanted to get was like 3 or 4 minute YouTube video pitches for them to pitch to you, but they only really got back to me at the beginning of the week. So, yeah, so yesterday, sorry, no. Yesterday, I think the email went out to, I think, about 15 projects, and 2 of them got back and put together stuff in a couple of hours saying big thank you. It was my fault that I didn't tell them quite what to put together properly. It didn't quite work. But in 6 weeks' time, hopefully we'll have video presentations and pictures and everything. So these were the only 2 that came back.
And let's thank you, Will. And so, as Will was implying, the idea, did we have fun today so far? It's been, did jazz hands? It was some fun. The idea is there's a whole vocabulary that you'll learn if you stick around here. Okay, great. Well, we copy the rest of the world. All the cool people, we copy them. The idea, every 6 weeks we are graduating a new bunch of 25 or so knowledge predators, as I call them. Students who have learned how to learn and can master almost any technology. It's really quite remarkable. Yeah, there we go. I'm just going to say, wow, big thanks to everybody who came and presented. I think they did a fantastic job, didn't they? Yes. All right. And I usually have trouble getting off the stage, so I'll just stop myself there. I think that's it. I'll say I've got chocolate penguins for anyone who wants to stay around, and let's just sort of break out and we can just sort of schmooze and mingle and so on. Thanks everyone. Nick wants to tell us something.
Sorry, is there more of a general question to all of those projects?
Oh yes.
Based on last week, I'm acutely aware that sometimes a project can span out much longer than you think.
Yes.
Are you all prepared for not quite what you want to get in 2 weeks? And is that going to be a problem, or is there someone who can take it on after us, or let's go that bridge?
Yeah. I guess what we say in the context of Agile Ventures, and I think this is true for working in charity, is that in some ways what you're getting with Agile Ventures or working with Makers Academy students is you're getting a group of bright, engaged people to sort of talk about the challenges that you're facing and maybe have some prototypes built. But I think on the I guess you guys here at Makers have not seen the sign-up form that all of the charities did, which sort of explained that it's sort of a way of exploring that, and there's no commitment to long-term building a site and then maintaining it for the next 3 or 4 years. Now, of course, in my heart of hearts, I love to think that everybody will find, like I work with the group Volume Production Harrow, and I've been kind of continuing to sort of tinker away with them long-term. But whether that happens or not is entirely up in that. There's no long-term commitment here. But I think even if there isn't, I think there's a great value for people who are non-technical to work with technical people just to kind of go over ideas and building a prototype that can then get that conception out, which then can be taken and shown to other people for further inspiration, build critical mass, and so on and so forth. If that makes sense. Yes. I guess I should leave. Any other questions about the overall scope? Yes, Jake. I think depending upon it sounds like some of the projects do have some commitments from some people with some level of experience. If you're here doing a project at Makers Academy, then you will get support from coaches on your project. So that's the case. We do also have people in the Agile Ventures kind of, what do we call it? It's the metasphere of something, I don't know, who exist out in the world, which has got sort of a repository of knowledge about these things. And so we're very, very welcome to make use of Agile Ventures Slack and all the Agile Ventures resources and that sort of cloud knowledge and those people all around the world to get involved in it. So I'll be taking this video, once it's finished, I'll be taking this and sending it out to all of them, and we may have people from the Agile Ventures cloud saying, I'd like to get, and I'll be very happy to put those in touch with any Maker students who want to work together remotely on those things.
Do we have access to the presentations?
Is that okay, guys? Yeah, I think they're probably happy to have. I would plan to make all of the materials available for all of you. Yeah. and more.
I guess I have a question about process, but then maybe around some room understands that a bit more.
so they would post about that. Because no, I don't know whether we can like chat about it and be like, yeah, let's do this, or actually like everyone has to do other bits of corporate product. You know.
Well, we've got just more makers. At any given time, we have about 25 students who are juniors and 25 students who are seniors. And the juniors have got a fair amount of coursework that they're doing. The seniors, and then currently you guys are now in week 10. So yeah, so they're from Monday next week, they will have 2 weeks where they will want to be almost exclusively focused on those projects. So I mean, without making any kind of commitments, I mean, you've got time now to chat, exchange email addresses, this, that, and the other. You could work out today that, yes, we want to do something. We will be kind of like assigning projects, I guess, to the maker students at the very latest by Friday morning. So on Friday, we could get you, if it comes together, we can get you a call, and then for the next 2 weeks, you'd have a team of students here who would probably be loving to get your input every 2 or 3 days in this thing we call the agile process, where the team works on things, they build a simple prototype, they get feedback from you, and goes round. But so I guess the sweet spot, so to speak, is if that happens, and that's the kind of thing that we'd work out over the next 2 or 3 days. But let's see. That makes sense. But even if that doesn't happen, there's this longer term thing of the Agile Ventures, and that may involve us putting you in contact with other people around the world. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Wonderful. Thank you.